What's up everybody, Arrg the Pirate here, and today let's talk about mid lane Morigesh. First, I want to briefly go over my Morigesh's deck. I realized I haven't done that in my past videos, and I think a lot of people would really like to see. First, I always start with a Lord's Ward or some sort of dummy ward. Then I go into a healing token and healing potion for that mid lane sustain. As a mid laner, I always pick up a Sage's Ward or some sort of ward first, and then I go into my 2 6-point cards, which are either the Staff of the Adamant or the Adamant Edge, just for, extra mana or extra health, whichever I need first. Now, since phase is almost always picked, it seems, Thick Blood and Tainted Magic really do a lot of work against her healing. I would definitely recommend picking those two up before going into your 3 Shadow Scrolls. I have 2 of them as 10-point full power, 1 as an 11-point full pin. And lastly, you finish it up with upgrading your Sage's Ward to a 10-point version. I did not include a stab link in this build, but if you want one, I would recommend getting rid of Thick Blood over Tainted Magic. Now I'm going against a Belica mid lane, which, in my personal opinion, Belica's one of the worst heroes to go against in mid lane. Not so much that you're not able to do anything, just because she can zap your mana, so you have to be really careful about that. And once she gets her ultimate, if you're ever low on mana, she'll be able to just one-shot you. So always being cautious of Belica where she is, if her drone's up, and staying out of that area is really important. Now my team has a Jungle Crunch, a Phase Rev safe lane, and a Wukong off lane. Their team is, of course, Belica mid lane, Greystone off lane, FaZe and Sparrow safe lane with a Chimera jungler. In these first 5 to 10 minutes of this match, nothing major happens. We have a couple of picks here and there. Their Greystone was playing a little aggressive, so I think he actually went down a couple of times. And both of our safe lane and off lane towers went down roughly at the same time. So, it was a pretty standard, uneventful game. At 2.5 minutes, Crunch did come over to mid lane. I thought he was going to our safe lane. He walked behind my minimap and I lost track of where he was. And, sure enough, he did head over and try to get this gank. But, Belica really wasn't far enough out of position to really do a whole lot. So I just stayed in my farm. Now, I'm not in comms with anybody other than our offlaner, so it's actually made it very hard to get a good solid team rotation throughout this whole game. But we ended up doing fairly well towards the end, and once we kind of got the ball rolling, we did make a lot of progress. Here at the 7-minute mark, I'm getting ready to go get my buff, and I actually end up getting the purple buff. And while I'm running over there, I notice, hey, our Wukong's getting really low. I'm going to head over there, maybe try to prevent them from downing this tower. Unfortunately, we lost the tower, but Crunch was able to put a good amount of damage on this Chimera, and so I go ahead and focus him, get my bomb on him, ult him. Unfortunately, since he was hooked to FaZe, I wasn't able to down him, not without my Thick Blood. Crunch did dive the tower and secure that kill, but they really traded, and at this point he's running towards me, but there's really nothing I can do. So I get out of there and head back to my lane. All in all, it was a 1-for-1 trade. We did lose a tower. I don't think I would have chased that Chimera kill, but hey, he did secure the point, so we get the CXP for it regardless. So I'm going to call it a win, even though I'm kind of sad about it. Just a little bit later, their Belica's in our off lane, kind of doing a little work. They were able to down Greystone, but I see Crunch is going in on Belica. So I rotate over Now, I did kind of feel that he was going to get this kill, but I went ahead and marked just to make sure. And she started retreating, and I really felt that she was going to get away, so I went ahead and ulted her. You know, I'm not sure if Crunch said a thanks as in, you know, hey, you stole my kill, or if he really meant it. I went ahead and apologized, like, hey man, I wasn't sure if you were going to get it or not. I just wanted to secure that kill. Now, Sparrow and FaZe ended up rotating here, and I thought I got out. I went ahead and tried to secure this river buff, and they ended up getting me. This blind paired with a root and Sparrow's aggressiveness, and she had black buff, just really tore me to pieces. But I had 10 points. I needed to go back. I've just had very, very little rotation in mid lane, and that actually lasts until pretty late in the game, so I'm not able to actually do a whole lot other than defend this mid lane. A few minutes later, Wukong and Crunch ended up getting Raptors, and Crunch headed over and this Bellica was taking a river buff. Me and him were able to collapse on her and take her down fairly easy. Unfortunately, we had some good team rotation by the other team, and we ended up both trying to run away. Now right here I get ambushed and I say, hey, I'm gonna just kind of back up and maybe kind of get something out. Unfortunately I died, but I was good enough of a distraction where Crunch was able to get out. So we ended up trading our two mid laners, and you know, it's not the end of the world. Now since Bellica has a better wave clear than Morigesh, I've been spending a lot of my time defending and actually trying to push lanes just to get them demolished by Bellica, and I'm not really able to make a whole lot of rotations. At this 15-minute mark, Crunch and FaZe head over to this mid lane, but as soon as we clear this tower, I go for this river buff, and I see, hey, they're getting in a pretty decent fight over here. They actually get Greystone's ultimate off, so I'm going to try to go in and maybe get a pick. Revenant, FaZe, and me are able to really put a whole lot of pressure on this tower, especially since Greystone doesn't have his ultimate, and their Chimera is building pure damage with a crit build, and so he does do a lot of damage, but he's very easy to take out. I'm able to secure this kill on their Chimera, and we're able to push their Greystone way back. We had enough minion support in this tower that I didn't need to stick around to end up getting it, so I'm going to head back to mid lane and try to make some progress there. About a minute later, we get into kind of a sloppy poke fest fight here in mid lane. Their Chimera went in on our Crunch, and Crunch just made short work of him. Then Bellica throws her drone down, and I get out of there immediately. I don't want to risk losing enough mana. I have a fairly decent sized mana pool, and I don't believe Bellica would one-shot me at this point in the game, but she could do a substantial amount of damage to me, so I'm just going to play it really safe when it comes to dealing with her. And actually later in the match, I run away when I would have normally stayed in just because Bellica was there. And you know, that her ultimate just destroys casters that are low on mana. Now nothing really comes from this full team rotation here in mid lane, which is also a really good point to, you know, show everybody. When something like this is happening, it's better to just split up and go push other lanes or take other objectives. Maybe think about, you know, even trying to go for Raptors. Just kind of get everybody out of the lane, and, you know, maybe you can get a pick in that way. But staying in mid lane, just kind of facing off, all you're doing is delaying farm and, you know, starving one another from experience. At 19 minutes, I see this FaZe come just charging up to me, so I know someone's invisible. Sure enough, it was Bellica right there. I'm able to use my escape to kind of run a path that they weren't expecting, and somehow ended up getting away. Their Sparrow almost had me at one point. I was really waiting for that piercing arrow, and I don't think she held it long enough to actually get that kill, or she probably would have got me. But I did get away. I was able to get back to base and, come back fresh. Now, I'm not sure if the other guys are in comms or not, but I haven't had a whole lot of team communication. And they went in, and for whatever reason, Crunch decided a tower dive without minions. I wasn't really sure what was going on there, but he did manage to do enough damage to Chimera that I was able to get that kill. That's one thing about Morigesh. She's just incredibly bursty, and she has that ultimate that can, hit you anywhere. That paired with her poison and not letting people to port back to base, she can use her ultimate and then you just slowly poison to death. Now, Wukong has done a really good job of counter jungling, even though he's the offlaner. He's been stealing green buff and everything like that quite a bit. And I go in to put a pretty deep ward in their jungle and see, hey, their whole team's right there. I get out and I notice them going in on this phase, and there's really nothing I can do, so I just kind of have to sit back and watch. Well, Wukong ended up going in, but I'm going to go ahead and secure this river buff just in case it was, red or, even purple would have been great. Now, we're all kind of focusing this Chimera, so I go ahead and try to get the kill on him. Unfortunately, he ended up surviving my ultimate, but my Black Buff made short work of him. This phase tries to run away, but with all my abilities, I'm able to get the kill on her too. Their Sparrow ended up rotating over, and Greystone with their Bellica, and me being blind, just that whole combo really ended me pretty quickly. But jungler and a support for a caster, I'd say that's probably a pretty good win. Now, I jump a pretty good ways ahead here. This game was a lot of solo kills, not a whole lot of, good team engagements, except here at the very end. We've got 2 of their inhibs down, and they have 1 of ours. And we just really keep pressure on this last inhib, and we're able to do a whole lot. Now, I'm very scared because Bellica is still alive and I'm pretty much out of mana. So I'm playing very cautiously because I know in one hit I'm going to be dead. And I'm fairly certain she has her ultimate. The only reason I haven't backed is because we have Prime and, I'm getting pretty decent mana regen as well as phases here. And, if she just absolutely wants to, she could always link to me and fill me back up with mana. Now, I ping retreat to try to get everybody out of here because, their team's actually coming back to life, but FaZe and Wukong decide to stay in a little bit longer. Now, we've got Chimera, Sparrow, and Bellica over here, and I'm like, hey, it's time to go, guys. So we back up, but they actually head over to their off lane to kind of clear it out. So I'm going to come back through the jungle. Hopefully their Greystone or whoever's still in this lane thinks that I'm, not here, and then boom, I'm able to show up. Our phase ends up rotating, and so Wukong's left in this lane, and with Greystone's wave clear, we're really not able to keep this pressure all the way up at their tower, but we're still keeping solid pressure on them. They are going to have to go deal with the other lanes just because my other teammates are still keeping pretty good pressure on everything. Now, I do keep spamming Hive, and Hive is a great ability with Tainted Magic because it does almost double the damage and it keeps that dot on them a lot longer. Their Greystone ended up trying to rotate on behind us, but we have that ward in the middle and we were able to see him back up, and we actually ended up doing quite a bit of damage to make him have to back. Now, I stay back there, clean up that wave. My whole team is engaged, but we need to get our minions up here if we're really gonna do anything. We don't need a fight in the middle of a minion wave. That's always a bad idea. I'm able to get a pretty good chunk of damage done to this Sparrow, and with my thick blood and tainted magic, their phase is really struggling to try to get her healed back up. We end up downing this tower, and you know, it's just kind of a slow push, but the game's over. You know, we have 2 people down on both sides, but we've got all 3 that are in hits. Our lanes are pushed pretty far up. This is just a done deal at this point. These guys did let us win. They didn't surrender, which, in my opinion, when a team has got all your inhibs down and they're really pushing on your court, it's going to just take maybe a minute for the game to end. There's no sense in surrendering at that point. All that's really going to do is, you know, rob a little experience from you, because the longer you do stay in a match, the more experience you're going to get. And, you know, it really takes the satisfaction away from winning. As this match wraps up, I'd like to say, if you enjoyed this video, show me some love, leave me a comment. If there's any questions that you'd like me to answer, let me know and I'll be sure to get back with you. And if you'd like to see anything, let me know that too. I did this deck build hoping that, you know, hey, y'all like it. Well, I'll see y'all in the next video.